Welcome to the Matt Laricy Project. This is a show about all things real estate, business, marketing, and entrepreneurship. Each show consists of myself, Matt Laricy, and a member of my team, and a guest. This week, the Matt Laricy Group team member joining us is Catherine Halbrook. Catherine?
Oh.
How we doing?
Hey, I'm good.
Hey now.
Halbrook.
Holbrook.
Halbrook.
Close enough.
So, Catherine, you were a YPN team member for the Chicago Association of Realtors, which is CAR. What does YPN stand for?
Young Professional Network. Yeah, 4 years I was on the board.
And they got rid of the Young Professional Network to break it down to YPN. And with that being said, this week what we brought in is the president, Mr. President of the Chicago Association of Realtors, TC Tommy Choi.
No, I thought there'd be like a live studio audience here.
There is. We have Emma for the cameras I can see. We do have Emma in the audience.
You should, suggestion, you should get that. There's an app where you like wave your phone and it's like applause. You can have that.
Well, when we edit it, you'll see.
Cool.
That actually comes in that. So
It's 4 years?
Yeah, I was on 4 years.
Wow. You're like the Vince Carter of YPN.
Like the Nick
Still
Nasta.
playing? Yeah. I like that.
They actually tried getting rid of her a couple years before.
That's not true.
But
Not
you know.
true.
So Tommy, we actually met on the YPN board. How many years? Do you know when that was?
That was 2011 or 2012. It was 11-12 that season. Year.
Right.
Yeah.
Because you guys started it, and then I joined I think halfway through because I actually wasn't a member of Chicago Association of Realtors. I was a member of a different association.
Yes.
And now that you've one of the big things I like to talk about is that I think you could get farther together than apart, and I'm really big with collaboration and things like that. Did you feel that YPN and stuff like that kind of helped out your career?
Absolutely. It's not only was the foundation, but it was literally the jumping point. I springboarded from that. How I explained YPN at the time was, right, that was that 2010, 11, 12 stint where market was not great. Right? Entire country just crashed.
Yep.
And being newer in the business, it can feel very lonely, right? Especially when you're just hustling and doing it on your own.
Right.
And at the time, right, just like you guys are boutique, it was just Josh and I and our brokerage. So we only had each other to bounce off of. So then you meet these group of people, young people, newer to the industry, hustling, trying to do what you're doing.
Right.
And a community that's sharing with each other, right? We weren't being, exclusive to hey, don't look at what I'm doing. We shared our losses. We shared our wins. Right, and we came up together.
It was kind of it wasn't really trying to compete with each other because frankly at that time I think most of us didn't really have that much business either.
Right.
And it was now Catherine wasn't part of the dream team of YPN, but we did have some pretty big hitters like Scott Newman, Aaron Mendel, Joe Holland, Nico Apostol,
Pekarsky, Farrell, Mitrick. There's a bunch of people.
Yeah. So we had a lot of people who are big now, and I think Tommy, for all of our listeners out there, also became a really good friend of mine. And although we don't talk daily, maybe before we go to bed we'll say goodnight.
Like every other day.
Yeah.
We send each other
Send a text.
DMs.
Yeah, maybe just sometimes
DMs.
we'll send like a heart,
Kissing
But
face.
it's when you run a business or in real estate, you kind of surround yourself with people with a similar mentality and stuff like that. So. How did you even get started in real estate? What made you want to go into real estate?
First of all, can I share with you the moment where I realized, okay, this guy is a fucking badass, and I know that we're gonna be good friends.
Okay. There was one moment I liked.
It was at Studio Paris. This is probably our 2012, we'll call it, the kickoff party that we always do in January, February. And you might have had a couple cocktails. But that's how I know it was legit, real, right?
Yeah.
You came up to me so aggressively, and you're like, listen, because I was a chair then.
Yeah.
It's like, I will do whatever it takes. Like, no one will outwork me. No one will out-hustle me. You just tell me what to do, and let's do great things together. And I was just like, okay, dude. Yes, but
Nothing's changed.
Yeah.
Exactly. But I knew,
pretty
I'm like,
intense.
this guy's going to dominate.
I've always kind of had that out hustle mentality, and I'm a workhorse, and I've always liked that, and I've always as you even said there, it's all about working hard together to try to get there together, and I think the team mentality is really big, and that's why I think your business will actually grow more when you're kind of involved with other brokers.
Absolutely.
And that's just how it is. And is that what made you get started into the real estate business itself?
So it was two things, right? So The catalyst that pushed me over the edge was I was working at a corporate job, inside sales, making 120 cold calls a day. I was making really good money. I was 23, 24, 25 years old, but I was completely burnt out from it. I wasn't happy.
Right.
I was just literally chasing the money. And that's okay. However, there's no drive behind it and you're not passionate about the work. That leads to burnout. So that led to burnout. The vision that was cast in me that led me to real estate was my grandfather. Right? He immigrated here in the 70s, Irving Park in Lincoln. And he came for opportunity, and a big piece of opportunity for him was to one day own his own home. And that's not just from a practical sense of having a roof over his head. It was solely pride. He wanted to put his stake in the ground and say that this piece of Chicago and America was his. He owned it because he worked hard to achieve it. So he always reminded me, because I was born here, that homeownership was not guaranteed.
Right.
You had to work hard to achieve it and work hard to maintain. So that value he instilled in me really casted a vision. So when I was at that crossroad of burnout, I knew that that was a direction I wanted to go in.
So it kept pushing you forward.
Exactly.
So you got into the business. You have a business partner, Josh Weinberg, who we all love. How did you and Josh meet and decide that, let's make this, if we're going to get out of the corporate, rat race mentality and get into our own entrepreneurship? Because you guys started your first company, Weinberg Choi. How did you decide to get in the business together? And follow-up question for that.
Yes.
Who decided Weinberg went before Choi? And why was it not Choi Weinberg?
Yeah, was that a big debate?
Yeah.
Because I don't have an ego like you.
Okay.
It sounds better. Weinberg Choi. Choi Weinberg, come on,
Yeah, okay.
It's not WCR. It sounds good. We didn't realize there's an organization called Women's Council of Realtors that would block us from getting that URL, but it's all good. So I met Josh, and we've known each other since college. He's 1 year younger than me. We actually have the same birthday, April 20th. But we were fraternity brothers, and we just always knew that we were going to do something together. He's a hustler, dude.
Yeah.
He used to sleep outside of Cracker Barrels when they would drop Beanie Babies, when Beanie Babies were like big.
Right.
And he would like fight like suburban moms, get like the hot ones, and he'd flip it on eBay.
That's Gary Vee style stuff.
Dude.
Yeah, trash talk. Shout out to
legitimately-
Gary Vee.
Dude, he would literally do that, and he would do stuff like that hustle in college, and I just respect it. I'm like, man, I gotta get on this guy's squad.
Wait, that was in college?
No, that was like in high school, but he would tell me
It was like 2 days ago.
Yeah, I'm like, it's kind of.
I saw him yesterday fighting some moms for some Beanie Babies between showings.
Dude, next time you see him talking about Beanie Babies, he'll tell you about like the Jerry Garcia.
He still got him hanging out. So you guys started this Weinberg Choi, and then you guys were going at it for a while, and then. About last year you pivoted and you decided to open up your own branch of Keller Williams, which you call K-Dubs, Big Red.
Big Red.
What made you want to be the founder? Because for the listeners out there that don't know about the Chicago market, which KW is like a really big brand, it's one of the largest out there. They actually went away at the when the bubble burst here in Chicago, and they didn't have a presence here anymore. And Weinberg Choi is one of the biggest agencies in the city of Chicago, especially being a boutique. What made you pivot to open up a Keller Williams?
It wasn't something we were planning on doing. It was just one of those things, timing. We wanted to continue to scale the brokerage side. Our business and production we knew was continue to grow and would always thrive.
Right.
But we wanted to grow the brokerage side, be able to mentor, and really set the bar from professionalism. We live by the golden rule, so we wanted to do that, to cast that. In order to do that, we realized under Weinberg Choi that one of us, Josh or myself, would have to step away from sales and wear the CEO hat, and neither one of us wanted to do that. We love selling, right? So plugging in, buying a Keller Williams franchise gave us that back-end systems and model to really scale that and not compromise our production from our team.
So when you decided to go more of the national route, you took on a couple other partners, correct?
Yeah. Joe Zimmerman, Mary Haight.
And for really quick too, Joe Z, I call him Mr. Blue Eyes. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So you got Joey Z, Mary,
and Nico
Apostle.
Yep.
Another guy, Nico Apostle, another YPN guy, and you decided to get into business. What have you noticed being at like a larger, more nationally recognized brokerage? compared to being at more of like a boutique style
Yeah.
brokerage?
Here's what I'd say. Ultimately, I truly don't believe the brokerage really should affect the agent's business, right? It's the brand of what you are as an agent that people hire,
Right.
okay? So what I think brokerage like KW, what they did for us is that they gave us some more systems and models to plug into. Most important for me, though, now I have, just like what the YPN was for me, I like to run with that faster group, right? So nationally, it gave me a bigger pool of top producing agents that I could plug into that are doing 2,000 units like in Houston annually, right? And understand and look under the hood of the car of their systems and be able to kind of be inspired and pull from there. So that was the biggest.
So kind of being able to like collaborate with other like-minded
Exactly.
individuals that are in like a similar role as you, maybe even same age group, going through the same pitfalls, and you guys can kind of bounce ideas
Right.
off of each other to try to learn and grow ultimately
Right.
from there.
Exactly.
Because one of the things I personally like doing too is like, and I actually did this when I was a kid. This is messed up because my father started my company in '78, and I used to draw his logo and stuff like that of different creations. And one of the things I would do is always I would call it like a pitch board. I would give to my dad is that I would rip out cool magazines, like advertisements I saw, and said, what if we did stuff like this and created it towards real estate? And nowadays, we don't really do the magazines anymore, but
Right.
I look at Instagram and Facebook and
Yeah.
see what other agents are doing across the country and saying like, hey, like I like this, but what if we did this with it? And I think that's kind of a good thing when you're talking about plugging and
Totally.
playing and kind of learning from each other, like-minded individuals to kind of get you farther. Do you have like anybody that you've gotten into business with, like in the KW or just in general, that maybe you've had regrets with? Has there been any of that?
No, I don't. I'm a guy that doesn't. I don't live with much or any regret for that matter, because I look at any opportunity that might have not gone the way I expected to as a
Right.
learning moment, right? Failing forward.
Yeah, always.
I tell this, and I think you guys would agree. A newer agent coming into the market, there's going to be two differences where they look at success, right?
Right.
One is going to be knowledge. We have more knowledge as far as a transaction. However, we're not brain surgeons here, what we do.
Right.
It could take a week, a month, or even a year where that new agent will have the same amount of knowledge we do to transact. Now, where the experience comes in really is that we've just fallen on our face more than that new agent.
Right.
And so that's the difference. That's the gap in success in my eyes. So all that person needs to do is just continue to fail forward. The problem is that most people that aren't cut out for this business, as soon as they fail forward, they retreat.
Yeah,
right?
it's the instant gratification type of society.
Exactly.
And, it's kind of like one of the things, and I take this, I'll give a second Gary Vee mention here, is that, they haven't been punched in the mouth yet, and the reality is that they've gotten in the business in the best market ever, and now the market is kind of shifting, and like, oh my God, I can't believe, this
Totally.
is happening. And for me, I know, I took the company downtown and I didn't know anybody or anything or how like real estate even worked down here, and I would literally put my foot in my mouth almost daily, and I would say it's like kind of like falling in mud and getting it all over your face and being like, I never want to have that feeling that you have in your stomach when you mess up.
Yeah.
So that I wouldn't do it again. And you learn more from making mistakes like that than I think you ever will. And I think probably a problem that a lot of newer agents are having is that they're not making those mistakes because they haven't like had the opportunity to even mess
Right.
up because the market's better. And
Right.
I think now that it's shifting, they're starting to see it. And like you said, a lot of them are starting to retreat. And kind of segueing that into like you decided to become president of Chicago Association of Realtors. We mentioned earlier that we met on YPN. When you were part of the YPN board, did you always know that you want to get involved with the association and become ultimately president of the board?
That's a great question. I'd say no.
Okay. And why?
Because I never had any. I'm not like a calculated person from a trying to climb the ladder standpoint. I don't have time for that.
Yeah,
right. I pour into something and give it my all because I care about it. At the time, that YPN, running in the circle with you all, making us better, building this tribe that we
Right.
did. That was what I want to invest into. Now, the reason that what catapulted me into wanting to continue on in leadership was because I was so grateful for that platform. I wanted to make sure that would still be there for some new agent, like you coming in and being a part of that new generation of the YPN group, right? And protecting that platform. And I just felt this responsibility that, listen, this industry, how many industries are there where you legitimately, within 12 months, have an opportunity to double or triple your income? Not many.
Yeah, I mean it's crazy and that's a good and a bad thing because the bar for realtors is set so low, and a lot of people have like really really bad experiences with their agents, and that's why a lot of people don't like agents and why technology right now. I mean I don't know a VC out there that's not trying to eliminate the realtor,
right?
And they think it's going to happen. And Catherine, you've had some experiences of going through different companies and stuff like that, and can attest that like it's hard to get your feet wet and get people to really value what a realtor is.
Right. And that's why it was so important for me to continue that leadership journey, because I wanted to set that bar. One, as a top producing agent, to be able to say, my biggest pet peeve is when people are like, how do you have time to do that? Yeah. One of my mentors once told me, people that say they don't have time never really owned it to begin with, right? Yeah. So I wanted to set that bar that, hey, you can give back at a high level. Now, that doesn't mean everyone has to become president, but they should be a part of YPN. Yeah. They should come to member events, right? Yeah. Networking events, YPN breakfast. And they'll know that in doing that, because you care and you want to invest in yourself, your business, the universe will throw you more opportunities.
So you think it's really important to get involved because like also you can maybe learn more and promote the realtor brand itself. Yeah. From things
Absolutely.
like this.
Especially everyone, like you said, not only the tech world, not only do they want to put their hands in our cookie jar, but look at it from a government affairs standpoint, especially in Chicago. Right. Everyone wants to put their hands in our cookie jar because they want our revenue. They look at us and saying, wow, these guys make so much money. What do they really do?
It's super easy. Right.
Right. But it's not.
And then you get the people who, and this is a big thing I see a lot too, and I like to say I don't actually have statistical proof to back this up, but in my own mind, I feel like 90% of agents who get in the business kind of drop out pretty quick or kind of stay uninvolved right away, because it is one of those jobs where people see, especially now with Bravo and stuff like that, which has kind of changed because before realtors I think were looked at more like car salesmen, and the last like maybe 10 years with the TV star kind of glamming it are more look like celebrities almost. Right. And they look at us like, wow, they're making all that money, it's so easy, I don't have to work a 9 to 5, I can work when I want, and then they get into it and like, holy shit, there's like literally not a second I'm not working. Yeah. But especially with email and text messaging and iPhones and all that stuff now, it's impossible to even think about getting away. And I think
when a weekend comes and they have to do their first open house or something, I mean,
and then they get FOMO.
Exactly.
So,
exactly.
Hashtag FOMO.
Yeah. So like kind of talking about that, like by owning like a bigger company and being involved with the YPN and car, like. Are there certain things and advice that you give to like new younger agents that are kind of getting into the business?
Here, what I always say when I get that question is I position differently. I say if I had like a DeLorean, I could go back to 2006 and tell younger me 3 pieces of advice. I think the biggest thing is you have to be intentional and purposeful on who you choose to surround yourself with. Yeah. It's cliche that you are the sum of or the average of the people you spend the most time with, but it's true. And I think that in business and in personal life, if the people you spend the most time with, they're not challenging you to raise the bar on your standards, you need to find new people because you're going to get complacent. Right. You're not going to be in this industry much longer.
Yeah, I think a big thing, like I like to tell a lot of my people or people that I sit down with that like want to work or something like that here, is that everyone wants that instant success so quickly, and then when they find out that like they have to schedule their own appointments or write their own contracts and negotiate their own deals, and like I didn't sign up for this. Like I just wanted to go out, meet a couple of people, get sales, make a ton of money, and then like let the system take care of itself. And I think that's one of the reasons why I think even like right now, there's a lot of brokers that I know that do 20 million plus that literally don't even know 90% of the business. Right. Well, we'll be negotiating stuff and they don't know what a closing cost credit is. Right. Or what FHA means or any of this stuff. And you're like, how do you not, you did, 100 deals last year. How did you not come across this? And they're like, well, my company gave me an assistant and I didn't, have to schedule my own stuff. So I didn't know what any of this means. And it's like, I almost feel like nowadays the market's almost setting up some of these people for failure because they haven't really learned the business. Right. And I think one of the biggest things to like kind of transport myself back in time is I wouldn't change anything because I like to say you don't get rich in good markets, you get rich in bad markets. And I didn't get rich in money when it was bad. I got rich in knowledge. Totally. And I wouldn't change the learning experience of the 5-6 years of being flat broke and just hustling my way to the top to not, to actually understanding the business.
Experience-based learning in our industry is the best.
Absolutely.
You could read 20 books and white papers on what being a realtor in 2009, 10, and 11 was like, but you're not going to understand experiencing that and learning how to go through those markets through a textbook. You have to just go through it. And that's what I love with this market starting to shift towards a correction. I think that's a great opportunity. Like, I'm excited for this.
Right. Now, when you say, the market's starting to shift, and I kind of mentioned this earlier, do you actually think the market's going to go down, or do you think it's just going to soften up? What is your opinion?
I think it's going to soften up. I don't think we're going to see it completely level down. But listen, I always say in a shift, you kind of look at it as I draw like a roller coaster, right? Mm-hmm. And the first car to go down is usually contracts written, right? What's going under contract. And if those start to drop year over year, and that's why trailing 12 is so important, because people are like, oh, it's November though, seasonality. No, if you look at trailing 12, it factors out seasonality because we're comparing to last November.
Right.
That's down. Mm-hmm. Closed units is the next roller coaster card.
Right.
The last card's going to be a price, which won't happen until next year.
Right.
So it's important. That's why as a realtor, I don't care what kind of technology or apps you use, that's not going to tell you that, right? You have to be knowledgeable and be able to have these conversations now. But I think that's going to happen in the next, year or so.
Right. I think it's about, one of the things I always say, it's about seeing patterns. The best people in any business can see a pattern, and you can predict the pattern is going to happen. And it's almost like painting a fine piece of art, is that you know where you're going while you're doing it. And for me, one of the things that I've been saying is that I think the market's going to shift, and I think we're just heading back towards normalcy, because most brokers only know two markets, especially if you're under maybe 40-ish years old. The worst market of all time, and the best market of all time.
Right.
There's an in-between market called a normal market, where it flattens out for a year, maybe 1%, tops 2% appreciation. There's not a million sellers and no buyers. There's not a million buyers and no sellers. And people are having a hard time wrapping their mind around it. And I hear a lot of younger brokers like, well, it's a bubble. The market's going to crash. We're going to see a 40% depreciation. It's like, no, we're just going towards what normal economy is. And we've had two huge differences in economies. We're going to go see normal land. And I think that's a big thing that people going to events like the YPN things and learning from Chicago Association of Realtors and things, and any real estate association out there, is you could get involved. And I think it's easier to start learning this stuff and seeing the patterns if you stay involved with all this stuff.
Absolutely. The data's spoon-fed. You just got to go to these events.
Right, and you have to learn about it. I mean, Catherine, do you feel like maybe you were maybe a better agent because you got more involved with this type of stuff?
Oh, absolutely. I think that a lot of the agents, and you were saying a lot of the bigger companies like Scott Newman and all them, you guys were on the original board with them, and I worked, I think,
the dream team, we call it, remember?
A lot of people that were on their teams and kind of starting out in the same kind of, situation I was in. So we're still talk every day, and we're on group text and ask each other questions, and it's nice, to be able to have people that you can go to and be friends with, in the association.
So were you the Patrick Ewing of our dream team?
Well, as a
you're
huge
a Knicks fan.
it's
garbage. I can't believe it.
Kind of more like Michael Jordan, but I'll take Patrick Ewing.
I think you just lost some followers.
So, and talking about you kind of created a family when you're on these boards and things like that. And Tommy, I know you're a big family man. How many kids do you have now?
I have 3 kids, 3 daughters, 6, 3, and 1.
And how are you able to kind of keep would you even say you have good life work balance, or how do you keep up with all this?
Listen, life work balance, I think it's just a bullshit term, right? Here's the thing. Time, it's moving regardless, right? Mm-hmm. It doesn't say, you know what, TC, go do bedtime. I'm going to stop the clock.
Right.
Right? So this idea of time management, it's BS. What I think you can position it and spin it to is activity management. What do you choose to do within the time that you're given, right? So from that standpoint, I know what my priorities are. And at the same time, Tesha, my wife, who you both know.
Big shout out to Tesh.
Big, hashtag. Can we tag her with her handle? So we can follow her?
Yeah. Julie, make sure we get that on there, okay?
Good. So she understands what I'm doing. She supports it, and she's the foundation that says, you know what, go do your thing. But she's also the first one to put me in check. As soon as I walk in the door, I know, okay, I'm going to do one less event next week.
Yeah. But I think that's a really good point, because I know, I hate to say this, but I feel like a lot of haters will always bring up life-work balance and try to bring you down almost. Like,
Right.
oh, I see you at this event. Like, you obviously don't love your family. It's like, no, you
No.
don't even know me.
Right.
But I feel like a lot of people kind of project it. Like, I have a kid on the way, and the main thing everybody tells me all the time is like, well, your business is going to fail because once you have a kid, you can't work anymore. And it's kind of like drives me crazy. And life, whenever I hear that life-work balance, it actually kind of stresses me out because I don't think of it that way, kind of like you mentioned. I think of it that there's priorities I have to do during the day. And I know that I have to make time for certain activities,
Right.
like you've mentioned.
Right.
And I think super successful people kind of think of it like that, rather than saying like, hey, 9 to 4 is work, 4 to 5 I put the kids to bed, and then like I'm going back out to work. And if I miss that opportunity, my day's ruined. I'm out of life-work balance, and now I'm a terrible person.
Right.
And I think that's something a lot of people even stress about in our industry because there's no check-in, check-out clause.
Right.
And I think a lot of people think that like they're and I'm sure a lot of people kind of have that fear of like maybe they're missing out on certain things, and it's about taking
Right.
balance of which actions you have to do.
That's the thing. I don't like the term life-work balance. There's no life or work. It's all falls under life.
Correct.
Like that's part of what you do when you live. So it's just the key, I think, is staying adaptable, and that's a hard thing to do. Mm-hmm. And so people that know how to adapt constantly, because as a father, I'll tell you, you're going to be a dad soon, that you think you have a pattern down,
right?
And then teeth start popping out of the kids' gums,
right?
And now you got to adapt and completely change,
right?
That's it.
Yeah, that's it. And I always say that there's more successful people than all of us sitting here together that have survived and figured it out. And
right.
It's kind of like adapting and figuring out the next steps. Now, what are your thoughts? You think the kids are going to get into the real estate business? Is this a goal of yours at all?
You know what? It depends on the day you ask me. There's times where I'm like building this. I'm like, I'm building this so I can like hand it off and my kids can do it. But at the same time, there's times where I think like, you know what? Not that like I don't think they should do what we do.
Right.
But I kind of wanted to also just do what they want to do.
I was gonna say, are they interested in real estate? Like, do they?
So one of my coaches once told me, Henley, who's 6 now, this was when she was 4. He asked me if she knows my goals. I'm like, she's 4 years old. She doesn't understand that. And she's like, I think you're not giving your daughter enough credit. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to share it with her. And so now we do this thing Sunday mornings at 9:30. It's family meeting. Everyone goes around the table, including the kids, and we share what our week looks like. So I can say, hey, Tuesday night, I got to go to this event. Wednesday, I got to take this client out to dinner. I'm going to a listing appointment this day. And they understand what that activity, why it's needed, because they know that what my goal is and
right.
what that goal means to them. And so to my coach's credit, I did it. And no joke, one night I came home and my Henley knew I was at a listing appointment. She asked me, did you get it?
Nice.
Are you closer?
Yeah.
And I was literally like ugly face crying. Yeah. I'm like, he was right. I'm like bawling.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's so they know what I do. I don't know whether they want to do it or not. I will say this though, I will not be on a team with them if they do want to.
Okay.
Because I think that I'll go batty.
I agree with your coach though. I do think when you're younger, it's hard for us to imagine it now. But I mean, some of my first memories in life were going to my father's office and knowing that my goal in life was to work at the office someday.
Right.
And it's crazy for us as older to think that like these little ones can have the brain capacity to like understand that. So
They're smart.
Now, you're talking about closing sales and stuff like that. Hopefully they're calling you the closer, and you're speaking more often. I'm seeing at events.
Yeah.
What's the goal? Like, how many speaking events have you been doing recently?
2018 is it 2018 still? Yeah. This year
Currently it's November in 2018. You're in Chicago. That's part of the United States. Okay.
I think this year to date I've done 23 speaking gigs.
Wow. So that's kind of a lot. And how many because I've known that you've given a lot of speeches before, and I've witnessed some of them, and I think they're fantastic.
Yeah, thank you.
But what made you want to kind of like pivot and start doing kind of speaking engagements?
Okay, so that's a great question, and it's going to sound weird. 3 years ago, I had an opportunity to sit on a panel that there was probably, I don't know, like 800 people in the audience, and at the time, that was a big audience. And I remember being on stage and leaving on stage feeling like numb, like the ultimate high. And I was like, dang, how do I recreate this on the highest level? And I thought, you know what, speaking at the United Center would be badass. So I set a goal. That's a goal I set I'm 5 years away from it. I want to speak, sell out crowd at United Center. So from that day, I said, what do I need to do today to get one step closer to the United Center? So this is all part of that. Once I'm done with that, I don't know that. I don't want to be like a speaker.
Right.
It's just, but here's a good thing. What I've learned in doing it is, one, the best class you can take is the one you teach, right? And it holds me accountable, because that's why, and what motivated me to be on stage is to share tactics I use in my business, not stuff that I did 30 years ago that involves a phone book, right? Relevant stuff. I'm in the trenches. Here's my evidence of success. Take it or leave it. Use it, do better, right? And so it holds me accountable, because I never want to bullshit on stage. I never want to say something that I'm not doing, right?
And, you kind of grow from that, too, because, like, when you share stuff with other people, naturally, with this thing called the internet, the people are going to find you, and if they were impacted by you, they're going to reach out and say, hey, this really touched me because of this, and we've been doing this with it. Now that could spark an idea in your head that ultimately make you kind of grow a little bit more, too.
Absolutely.
Do you like speaking now more than you like the actual real estate aspect?
No. I like the selling. Selling is my ultimate passion, and I love that more. And to be honest with you, all these other opportunities I've gotten, the first domino has always been through my production. So I always going to respect that. I always want to stay in that and continue to grow that team. That's what really gets high.
You can actually use the speaking to up your street cred, up your brand, right? Maybe kill some more listings.
Absolutely.
Show them a couple speaking events.
And the referrals. Yeah. That's been something I didn't even expect.
Right.
And that's been really.
Is that from other states? Other states, yeah.
Because we're in transient city.
Oh, absolutely,
in Chicago.
Like, so what's your favorite, topic to talk about? Like, and I've seen on different social media aspects this thing called the no friend zone.
No friend zone.
What is this all about?
That's about, we have a business that's 95% referral based.
Okay.
And it's through relationship building and how our lead generation is. Our lead generation is different, right? Some people door knock, some people call FSBO, some people do expired listings. All proven and all works.
Right.
For me, my network, building relationships, that's my 20%. Okay. And so I've systemized that. And that's what I share. The idea of, Catherine, you probably get a lot. Guys, want to court you. And then some you're like, he's just he's a friend, right? And that guy then's devastated. That's how we have to, that's probably happened in Miami this weekend. Yeah. That's how we look at our data bank. Past clients, sphere of influence, these people, I don't want them to look at me as like, oh, he's a cool friend. I like hang out with him. I want them to look at me like, I want to be in bed with this guy, and I'm going to promote his business because I want to still be in his good side, right? And it's through that lead generation. Yeah,
and keeping a good sphere and kind of, leveraging other people to get business back to you. So when they think real estate, they think Tommy Choi,
Totally.
So, one of the big things that I know that you're a big proponent on, I am too, is technology. Is there anything big in technology that you've been seeing, any trends that you've been liking that has been, kind of like making realtors get even bigger, anything like that?
What we are invested heavily on and we like is retargeting ads through social media, online, in application. Because listen, you guys do it. You guys do it well.
Yeah.
Social, you guys probably do it the best, especially with your video integration. Shout out to Indie Rap. I hope Julian. I need to get a little discount on that.
Yeah.
So, 93% of buyers are starting their search not online, on your mobile device.
Right.
We're in a very awesome time. Just like I don't even know if it was our parents' generation, maybe our grandparents, where the radio was replaced by the television.
Right.
The phone is about to replace the television. It already has, right?
Yeah.
And so any tech tools that support me getting in front of people in this, that's what I'm invested in. And retargeting is really big.
I think data and all that stuff is kind of, Amazon just went to Virginia solely because all the data centers are there. And the power of that is so powerful. And to me, I actually think the future most successful real estate agents aren't the ones that advertise on websites, but I think it's going to be influencers. People who they see on YouTube and Facebook and Instagram and Snapchat and all these different sites, and they see them like, man, like that guy's super successful. I love his posts. He gets it.
Yes.
Because that's where the marketing is these days. It's not the signs on the ground. It's not the billboards. It's not the magazine ads. It's running the good social media campaigns, and that's where people are going to see it.
I think that platform and us as agents, that is going to be the biggest threat to companies like Zillow and
Right.
Julia. Because
Yeah.
here's the thing. Look at the music industry. You got a guy like Chance the Rapper
Right.
who puts out free content, music. People love it. Has a gajillion followers. Built this platform. He doesn't need a record label.
Right.
'Cause a record label just gets you at bats. And
Right.
right? He's changing that. I think we have that opportunity as agents, having that social media presence, that I think that's going to potentially get in the way of people that are online lead generation advertising sources.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's like, we obviously do a ton of like Zillows and Realtor.coms and stuff like that, and it's a good portion to get business. But I think in the future, one of the routes that we're going to be mostly going is building this social media platform. And I don't think people are necessarily going on Facebook and Instagram and stuff like that to be like, hey, I want to find my realtor today. But what I think they're doing is they're browsing and ads pop up that pique your interest. And I think there's a reason why more people are getting their news feeds, like their news today from Facebook and Instagram about like an article or something that happened, or if there's breaking news, it's on there. And that's kind of how you're doing it. And I think that's why I think, social media is going to play such a big part in our future. What about you? Like, which social media platform do you like to use the most?
I love Instagram.
Okay.
More specifically, Instagram Live.
Okay.
Because, or Instagram Story, sorry.
Okay.
Because you get to document the journey. And I think this, for people, I always get people when I'm talking about this kind of stuff, they'll be like, well, I just don't do the social media stuff. Well, I'm like, well, guess what?
Yeah.
You better adapt, because you're like the person that didn't believe in electronic signatures back in the day, right? Right. So that is such a great platform because, one, all the content you put out goes away in 24 hours. So if you're kind of shy and nervous about it, I think that gives you that courage.
Right.
More importantly, though, what I think, everyone is so focused on the perfect content. Like, oh, this shot needs to be edited perfect before I post it, blah, blah, blah. I think the best content is documenting your journey.
Right.
And you do a great job at that, right? Going in between listing appointments, whatnot, saying hi Snapchat and building a brand, right?
Yeah, people know that.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah. But we're all voyeurs.
Which is crazy that people like that.
Right.
Catherine does this
Agent
like hi
X,
Snap. It drives me crazy.
You should do something like baking cookies or like food, like little like food things. You should do that.
No, like
I don't know about that,
what do you think is like going to be the next big thing that like people are going to start doing in social media? Because like it's kind of funny. You started seeing people doing like just close photos, and then you did like now videos are big on there, and like I'm seeing people try to like throw in like different content in there of like stats of what's happening to the market. Do you see one thing that's going to be like the next big thing that everybody's going to be trying to copy off of?
I think. Well, it's not one thing, but I think the idea, the Facebook Live, Instagram TV, I think that's going to be the next platform for agents to literally have their own television show.
Right.
You don't even need to get a TV deal anymore. Right. And I think that'll catapult into something big. And I'm already starting to see a lot of people do their market update rants, and I'm not talking about like your cheesy like, hey, it's spring, like make sure
great time to sell.
Exactly. But like giving granular micro data as things change, and also sharing those frustrations and stories of like, listen, this seller did this, blah blah blah, we need to price this way. Right. I think that connects with the audience more, and I think that'll blow up into more opportunity. Right.
So what do you think, kind of going off of like what some agents are doing really well on social media, is that kind of like the best thing you're seeing is like the IGTVs and things like that? Do you think IGTV will take out YouTube?
No.
Okay.
No, I think it's a completely different platform. But it's here's the thing. YouTube, as you know, as you're embarking on your journey, you have to be consistent. You have to have production value to get that subscriber base and really get those looks. IGTV, everyone's on here. It's so intuitive. You get those notifications. So I think while you're limited on what your capabilities are on it, then compared to YouTube, I think that Facebook Live, all those are going to be
right. Now, one of the big things I see that you post all the time is when you're flying to the airport, there's this shot of you with the socks.
The airport shot.
The airport shot. What made you want to start doing this shot?
It was of pure boredom. I'm the guy. I'm the person that I'd rather be the first person at the airport and wait for 4 hours and know that I won't be late.
Yeah, I'm
then be like stressed
walk
out
in
trying
when
to be
they're
like,
boarding. I don't like
then
that.
the gate change.
Right.
I actually can't fly Southwest because I get so nervous I'm not going to have a seat. Like somehow the seat's going to, even if I'm I'm like I can't do it anymore. My wife's like, we're never doing that.
I need to know what I have an allocated seat. on the airplane. It's
Me
printed
too.
on my
I
thing.
sit at the gate like it's gonna change and just watch it because I'm messed up in the head. Okay, but one of the I would love to see you at the airport because one of the things I always see is that you are taking a shot with the socks.
Yeah.
I would love to be the guy that takes a shot of you taking the shot of the sock.
well,
yeah. Who
you
does
got-
these shots? Who does these?
You know, that's BTS.
Okay.
You know, behind the scenes. So
Okay.
I don't want to
Okay.
divulge
Okay.
too much, but you know,
How many pairs of
takes
socks
It takes
you
a
own?
team.
how many pairs you got now?
I have a lot. I have 94 pairs of gym shoes. So maybe.
Could we
around
show the
that.
socks that you got on today, just so we
Yeah,
could see?
sure. I gotta represent Biggie
He's
Smalls.
got Biggie Smalls on.
Yeah, Brooklyn.
And
East Coast.
and just for him, I decided to go with my Star Wars socks.
Wow.
Okay. So to try to
Wow.
compete with the best socks. So
Yeah.
anyway, so we have something called the Fast Five that
Hold
the
on,
co-host.
can we do like if for the viewers, because this is on what social media
Yeah,
platforms?
social
YouTube?
media. Yeah, YouTube. All that
How
stuff.
about we do like a red heart emoji if you like my socks in the comments, blue
Yeah.
heart emoji if you like
Okay.
Laricy socks.
Okay.
and
So
we'll,
red for Tommy,
yeah.
blue for Matt.
And the loser has to buy the winner a pair of socks. All right.
All right, I'm in on that. Okay. Okay. We'll make sure we get the shout out on that too. Catherine, what are the Fast Five we got here to ask? What do we got for question one?
So wait, hold on. What does Fast Five actually
Just
mean?
like 5
So
questions.
Fast
Oh, okay.
Five questions.
So I'm not on the clock.
No.
Technically, but
Alrighty. Number 1, what is the best piece of advice you've ever received?
Best piece of advice I've ever received was from a gentleman named Ron Weiss. He owns the oldest T-shirt screen printing business in the city of Chicago. He does all the Blackhawk shirts now, called SOB Shirts Our Business. Shout out Ron. We need a discount for that. He told me when I first got in this industry to put the blinders on. Don't focus on other people. Don't focus on being better than someone else. Just be better than who you are and have that daily incremental change. And that's been that every day I look at it.
that's a
that
great
way.
piece of advice.
Yeah, that is great. All right, number 2, this is Matt's favorite question.
It is.
Oh, God.
Do you love to win or do you hate to lose?
Oh, I hate to lose.
Right
I hate
answer
to-
again.
All
See,
right.
you know, it's that like the successful people have the right answer.
Here's what all right, can I share a quick story? In 4th grade, and you can tag her, Melanie Monego, Melanie Flores now. We both ran for class treasurer, okay? And this is back in the day when stuff wasn't PC. So it would be like, Tommy, 1 vote for Tommy, the teacher would put on the board. I lost by like 3 votes or something like that, okay? I started crying. All my boys started ripping on me, right? That day on the bus ride home, I normally sat on the back. I sat on the front because I didn't want to, I was pissed off at my friends. But I remember having this self-reflection moment in 4th grade. And I said, this fucking sucked today.
Right.
This feeling of losing sucks. And I promised myself I would never do that again. And no joke, since that day, I've never not accomplished what I wanted. Doesn't mean it happens in the first try.
Yeah.
Right.
But
you get
I just
there
don't
somehow.
lose.
Yeah.
Right? So it's because I hated losing from
Right.
that
You
moment.
hate that
I
feeling.
can
so,
see it's still a little
Right.
sore subject.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get you. Can we go back to 4th grade and get him that treasurer position? I'm gonna get you in. Before,
I got the
my
president
new goal
position.
is making sure that I get this 4th grade honor treasurer position for you.
Love it.
Alrighty, who is your biggest hero?
My biggest hero, probably my grandfather. Like he was the pioneer that immigrated here. He's the one that casted that vision I said earlier. So yeah, definitely 100% him.
If you could have one superpower, what would it be?
Oh, this is a good
Just
one.
one.
Time travel?
I want to know what both of yours are. Yeah, you know what? It would probably be like be Nightcrawler, be able to teleport.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a
That's a
pretty
good one.
That's,
'Cause I
that's
hate
pretty
I
legit.
hate flying.
Yeah.
I hate going to West Coast. Yes, it's just the time change. So if I could just go like that, be
Yeah.
there,
Yeah.
right, and be back in time for bedtime with the kids, that
So
would be
Nightcrawler's
badass.
your X-Men character.
Nightcrawler. Yeah. The only thing is though, I feel like everyone in the comic book world that has teleporting powers is blue. So that's the only thing that's like I would not want.
You could be like the Mystique then, and like be able to change. So we could throw it.
Maybe
in
we
the
could do
mix.
that, like a combo
Yeah.
Mystique, Nightcrawler.
Yeah.
I don't know who these people are. But.
Oh,
Maybe even Beast, right?
Yeah.
He's smart,
Yeah.
so we can do all the 3 blue
Yeah,
people.
yeah.
There
We
you
can
go.
combine them
Well,
in
I want to know yours.
Maybe being invisible.
Really? Why?
Yeah, I don't know.
So
So
like,
you can
just
kind of
creep?
creep around. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I would 100% be Wolverine. I mean, no question. I would
The
like to.
adamantine
'cause you
steel?
you kind of like live forever, And like if I get hurt, I can regenerate, or like a Deadpool.
Such a Matt Laricy answer right there.
Like you just keep.
You want to be a
If I
god,
get
basically.
hurt.
Yeah, I'm immortal.
Yeah, I mean,
Never
yes.
get sick.
Yeah. He asked my opinion. I gave it to him. You know.
Love it, Wolverine. All right.
Alrighty. And last question: what makes you Chicago?
What makes me Chicago? Man, that's tough. What makes me Chicago? I mean, listen, I'm born and raised. I don't know anything, north side. I don't know anything outside of Chicago, right? So I don't put ketchup on my hot dogs. I get my beefs from Al's, extra jardinera. Not Portillo's.
Yeah.
Really?
I don't like Portillo's.
Oh, yeah, no.
I actually don't like beef sandwiches in general. It's true.
That's because you're a Southside kid.
Yeah, I mean, that's South End. That's a Southside nasty. So.
But I guess that's what, and I have grit. I feel like people from Chicago got tough skin.
Yeah.
So.
I actually like to comment that, like, the reason you're Chicago is because you do not put ketchup on your hot dog. Let's chalk that up.
That's true.
Let's chalk that up as your answer.
You do? Oh, gosh.
She's from, I don't know where
I'm
you're
from Chicago.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Born and raised.
Okay, so Tommy, where can people find you, and is there anything you want to plug?
Where can people find me? Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat.
Okay.
Are you gonna put all my?
We'll
things
put all
up
your
there?
handles up here as you say them.
Cool. What can I plug? Plug friendship.
Okay.
Grateful for both of you.
Hashtag friendship.
Continue to do everything. Let's just continue to raise the bar on this industry.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So make sure to tune in our next episode and subscribe to our podcast. Follow us on Instagram, like us on Facebook. Thanks for listening to the Matt Laricy Project.